Hey viewers and viewers, my name is Strategist. Welcome back to SCP Containment Breach. It's episode 10 now, and before I get launched into things, I just need to make clear what's actually happening in this episode, because things are slightly different. Now, you're seeing obviously some gameplay on the screen before you, but this commentary that you're hearing from me right now, this was actually recorded separately. It was actually recorded after I'd recorded the gameplay footage. Let me explain what happened. I kind of goofed up a bit. Basically, this episode of Containment Breach is my first recording session that I've undertaken since the virus issue I was having recently. So yeah, basically, after I got my computer back from my repairman, I had to obviously reinstall a lot of my programs, including Fraps, and you know, I'm an idiot really, because I should have checked this before I even started the recording session, but naturally, because I'd had to reinstall Fraps, it had reinstalled on its kind of default settings, so I forgot to check the little box in the Fraps options that says record the sound from your microphone. So yeah, basically, when I was actually recording this episode, recording the gameplay, I was commentating as I went along, but didn't realise that my Fraps wasn't actually recording anything I was saying. So yeah, I've kind of had to record this commentary now, separate after I did the gameplay, so that I can now superimpose this on top of my actual footage. The thing is, some of you might just be wondering, why don't I just like delete my original footage and try re-recording episode 10. Well, I thought about it, but the problem was the footage that I did scrape together, I did a bit of exploring and I found some stuff, so, you know, I don't just want to like start recording again, because the thing is, I've been saving as I went along, as you'll see. But yeah, if I just deleted that footage and started a completely new episode 10 instead, you'd probably be wondering like what's going on, because I'd saw stuff and yeah, basically, I don't know, it felt like it was better to do it like this. So yeah, as you're watching this gameplay footage, I'm going to be sort of commenting on the things I encountered during this recording session. So that's how it's going to work. So one of the first things you're seeing is this, the new SCP that I encountered down in these, what appear to be like this basement area. This is SCP-049, everybody. I've actually been told about this one in a comment someone left on one of the previous episodes. Apparently he's like a plague doctor type of thing, and he like creates zombies, something like that. One of which you're obviously seeing right now is a sort of undead sort of undead Foundation soldier type thing. Obviously, I didn't really know how to deal with this, so I tried running around him. You obviously heard that whacking sound just then. He basically clobbered me, and it left my sort of player character kind of a bit injured. And yeah, this was quite an interesting experience. I didn't know what to do, basically. So I did the only thing I could really think to do at that point, which was just to run on by and just keep going down the tunnels in the hope that eventually I'd find something, maybe like another elevator or another passage leading somewhere else, and hope to hell that I just didn't run into this actual plague doctor dude. And it was at this point here that you're seeing right now that I did come across another elevator, but as you're seeing, I kept pressing the button and nothing seemed to be happening. The button just sort of bleeped uselessly. I kept trying though, because, I don't know, some of the doors I've noticed where this happens, if you keep pressing them, eventually they open. I don't know if that's like a glitch or a bug or whatever, but yeah, so I was hoping that that would happen here, but evidently it wasn't going to occur. So at that point I was wondering, okay, so if none of the doors down here appear to be working, then what's the point of coming down here? You know, I thought, when I'd initially seen that elevator door or whatever it was there, that I'd found the way out, but clearly not. My efforts were stymied. So I was wondering, what do I do now? Should I go back to the previous elevator and just go back up to the corridors above? Or should I go and explore this area a bit more? So yeah, I started going backwards. Only, of course, as you're seeing right now, I ran into the bloody zombie soldier again. He hit me once more, injuring me even further. So there I was, limping away down this dark corridor, not entirely sure what's going on, not entirely able to move that fast. And of course I was wondering when this plague doctor dude is actually going to show up, this plague doctor thing that I'd seen on the actual picture, in front of the actual SCP containment cell. And then all of a sudden, he just spawns behind me. Now, I'm wondering where on earth he showed up from. I'm assuming, well, I can only assume he came from the room that was back there on the right, where the sign for the SCP was. And at this point, I was freaking out. It's a shame that, unfortunately, my Fraps didn't record my actual commentary, because you would have had a lot of entertainment at this point. So I basically started spamming the elevator button, hoping it would take me up, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, and I was panicking, and at this point he basically comes into the elevator, and I knew at that point that I was basically completely freaking screwed. But as you're seeing on the screen before you, I didn't actually immediately die when he touched me. It seems that he actually does something to you. I think he kind of zombifies you. That's my guess. The footage you're seeing right now is anything to go by. I'm basically not attacked by what I'm assuming is one of the Foundation guards, who pretty much identified me as a zombie and then utterly pumped me full of lead. Surprisingly, it took quite a lot of bullets to actually take me down. So yes, that was SCP-049 everybody, and that was creepy as hell, and as I said, just a shame that my fraps didn't unfortunately get my commentary, because as I said, I absolutely panicked when I first came across him, and yes, it would have been entertaining to listen to me scream like a little girl, but unfortunately wasn't to be, was it? Now, as nervous as I was at this point, I did feel that I had to go back down there just to check it out again, because obviously I didn't really take a look in the actual containment cell, and I figured that basically if I didn't do that, you'd all be watching this and screaming at me, Andrew, why did you not go into his containment cell? I want to see what's in his containment cell, why don't you go in there? So yes, you know what, I decided to brave it again. Whilst we're just wandering along this passage here, what I will say about this game is that it is very scary, I have to say. It has to be one of the scariest survival horrors I've done so far in all the time that I've ever been playing these sort of games. I'm not kidding, when I look back on actually the footage from all my SCP episodes so far, I mean, we're only up to episode 10 now, looking back on it all, I do feel like I could almost actually make a mini montage out of the jump scares that I've had so far. Okay, so you notice just then that door on the left there, I was jabbing at the control switch, but it didn't seem to open, so we turned back, obviously, and went into the bigger room, and I noticed that there appear to be these strange sort of control sets on either side of the area, with these switches that can actually be utilised. There's like this elevator power feed one, then there was another one. And then I should just quickly say now, what you're seeing right now on the screen there, I activated that switch over there, and then suddenly I realised that door across there had opened, and the bloody Plague Doctor was right there. So it seemed he came out of that door, and at this point I once again began to panic, not entirely sure what I was doing, so I just kind of flipped all the switches randomly, and then I basically made an absolute dash for it, for that other elevator basically, not the one I came down in, but the other one at the opposite side of the basement area, in the hope that maybe I'd actually triggered something significant, and that maybe this time the elevator would actually work. Now for a second something seemed to bug out. I pressed the button once I was inside the elevator to send it up, but I don't know, the door shut, it didn't seem to go up, so I had to reopen the door, but that obviously took time because I kept pressing the button and nothing happened, as usual. But eventually something did happen, the door did open again, and when I closed it again, I did hear the sort of elevator cue sound to say that the elevator's basically going up. So yeah, that was a bit weird. But as I was about to find out, and what you're about to see right now, is there was no real point in me actually going down into that basement area, because it basically just brought me up somewhere where I really didn't actually need to be. And the reason I didn't need to be there was because it was somewhere where I'd already been. Because, just watch. See? Look at this door. Look at this door right here that I'm opening right now. Does it seem familiar? Well, it should. There's another one, as you can see, at the far end of the corridor there. Now, no prizes for guessing where this might lead out. See? Look at that. We're back towards that heavier gateway, that checkpoint, back to the light containment zone, where we've been already in the start of this playthrough. So yeah, basically, there was absolutely no point to going down into SCP-049's area. It just looped me around, brought me back out into that first sort of quadrilateral corridor place, where I basically went after managing to find my way into the heavy containment zone a few episodes back. Now, as you'll have seen on the SNAV just a moment ago, there was a warning sign, SCP-106 closing in, which was joy to my eyes, because, let's be honest, we can't not have an episode without that bloody asshole, can we? So yes, once more, he emerged, as he always does, just about in every bloody episode I record, and I find myself having to run away. So basically, yeah, as you can see now, I had to sort of backtrack, ended up back through into the light containment zone, which was rubbish, but at least it was there. At least I was here in this sort of location, because that way I could just run back through an area that I'd previously been in, and which therefore I already knew the layout of. Now, the one thing I will say about SCP-106 is sometimes I find it a bit tough to gauge how far he can sense my presence. Like, I don't know, I sometimes wonder, like, what's the shortest distance I could move away from him when he emerges in order to evade him? Because at the moment, whenever I encounter him, I just seem to, like, run away as far as I possibly can, in the hope that that way I'll get far enough away for him to just lose sight of me. But yes, I do just still wonder what his ultimate range of sensory detection, whatever, is. I hope that makes sense. But then, just as I managed to evade 106, this happened. I heard footsteps, and suddenly, Plague Doctor was back, not in his basement anymore. Now he's up here, in the light containment zone. I have absolutely no idea how he managed it, whether he took an elevator or whatever. I mean, I don't even know if he can take an elevator, can he? Or is this just a bug? So there was no let-up between jump scares here. First 106, now 049's back. So I ended up running in basically the complete opposite direction to what I just ran to get away from 106. So, oh lovely. That was brilliant, wasn't it? And it definitely appears that 049 can actually open doors at least. So essentially now at this point I was just running through the corridors, getting away from 049. I mean, I don't know. Again, like 106, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure of what his the full extent of his sensing range is, so I didn't know how far I would need to get away from him to get him to stop chasing me. But as I said, I just ran through the corridors as fast as I could. And it was at this point, once I felt that I had sufficiently put enough distance between myself and SCP-049 to be safe, that I decided to wrap the episode up. So, hope you all enjoyed watching this slightly different episode of SCP Containment Breach, everybody. Apologies for my fraps trouble. Next episode, you'll actually be hearing proper in-game commentary, not me just commentating over my footage. So yes, join me for episode 11 when I get around to that, and in the meantime, this is General Red signing off. Goodbye!